o'clock now. Have you been enjoying the Boxing Day sales, or did Christmas Day burn too big a hole in your pocket? Retailers are expecting many high streets to remain quiet today after major names like Marks and Spencer's and John Lewis decided to have an extra day off. But for the shops that are opening, they're expecting a drop in sales with the cost of living crisis continuing to impact households across the UK. So joining me now is the former advisor to the Bank of England, Roger Gewolb. Roger, hello. Happy Christmas to you, Roger.
Happy Christmas. You look very Christmassy.
Thank you. Did you get any nice presents?
I got a couple of nice presents. I did. Thank you. Yes.
And how was your shopping experience? Are you somebody who goes shopping really early, buys everything, or waits till the Boxing Day sales to get the rest?
No, pretty much early. I think the Boxing Day sales are becoming more and more like Black Friday, where the prices really are not a savings. Some stores, some online offers are actually quite a ripoff and a scam. So I don't pursue those really.
You know, I used to buy my kids' stuff because every other Christmas we swap over who has the children. And so because I wouldn't see them at Christmas, I used to wait till after Christmas and buy their presents in the sale. But it seems a lot of people aren't going out anymore to the shops. Why do you think there's been a sort of change in the way people do things?
Well, I mean, certainly the internet is the biggest factor. It's just so much easier to shop online. There's so much more choice. The prices are better. The delivery options are better. People do miss going into a store and being with other people and mingling and having a cup of tea and a scone and chatting with the shop assistants and staff and all that. But I think the internet probably outweighs it a bit if you're in a rush or you have a lot of things to do, like prepare for a family Christmas and then New Year. So I think the internet has taken a lot away from the high street, although there's some interesting smaller things, as you know, that have opened up that are attracting people. But, you know, just like you can stream on your computer or your telly at home, it's still fun to go to the cinema and mix with everybody and see things on a big screen. So I don't think either will ever disappear.
Yeah, no, and we don't want them to. But I suspect some of the retailers who have shut over today, so M&S and all some of those big retailers, are probably quite glad about that, because surely it would be saving them quite a bit of money. The fixed costs that they would normally have to fork out on some of those may well be lower in some respects, or would they stay the same, so it wouldn't really make much difference?
I'm not. Yeah, I mean, there's probably not that much of an economic difference. They're very good at positioning what they need in order to make the margin. I just think this has been a very fraught year. Times are tough. They probably want to give their staff a bit of a break, a bit of a rest. And, you know, then these protesters have tried to close Oxford Street. So the additional security costs, the risk of harm to people in the store, the risk of terrorist activities. I mean, it seems strange saying that at a Christmas sale, but I can understand them closing it. And I think for those two giants, M&S and John Lewis, to do so is not a bad idea at all. I think it's probably a welcome thing. And there's still enough other places that are open that people who want to enjoy a good Boxing Day sale can do so.
Yeah, the internet.
There's still enough places they can come at 5 in the morning and camp out until the doors open.
Do you think that COVID as well has been another major game changer, where people, especially, what I did notice is a lot of people saying, look, I'm not going to go and see grandma or whoever because I'm not feeling that great. Whereas I think people would have gone anyway if they hadn't felt that bad. But nowadays we're more considerate. Do you think COVID has been one of those things as well that has changed the way we do things when it comes to shopping at Christmas?
I think it has. I think it was, but I don't think it has quite the effect now that it did, for sure. I mean, it's more of an excuse, you know, than a reason now, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. You think a lot of people said, oh, I can't come to your house because I've got COVID, so I'm not going to come over. And everyone goes, oh, yeah, that's fine, don't worry about it. But some people might actually be staying away from the shops because of worries about catching things. And do you think we've become a bit more aware now of those things and are prepared to behave in a different way?
I think I think you're right. I think knowing that COVID is around, we are always going to be mindful of going places with large crowds, more so than we were. And yet, I might walk into a crowded place and go, ooh, there's a lot of people here. But I mean, I probably wouldn't even think about it if I went to the cinema and sat in a giant IMAX to watch a film. So, or got on an airplane or a train or something. So it's there, but it's kind of on and off. I don't think it's the threat, certainly not the threat that it was a year or two ago.
So what kind of a year has it been then for retailers overall? Has it been a good Boxing Day and the whole year as a whole? Has it been a good year?
Well, I think if you talk about retailers, you really got to start breaking it down into segments and products and demographics and geography. I think if you ignore all that gritty detail, in which you'll see some things up, some things down, I think overall it's not been a great year. There have been so many disruptions, so many interruptions, and I think the main thing is that the government has hit the British public with so many hurdles to having a good year, putting people in the situation of being really tight with their money. I mean, as I've been saying for a while, if the government is taking so much money from you in tax and the banks are taking so much from you in interest, how in the world can you have growth? So I think it's been not quite the annus horribilis that Her Late Majesty had, but I think it's been a pretty terrible year for British businesses who've seen their costs of doing business with borrowed funds grow 14 times. And the same for British consumers, where something like 20% of people with mortgages, Nana, have seen their mortgages increase by more than £1,000 a month. And all of this at the almost whim of this government and administration, because it's completely unnecessary, because 14 rises and it did nothing to curb inflation, as I've been predicting for well over a year. This kind of non-consumer inflation will fall by itself. And it did start to fall by itself recently, but all those rises they're still keeping in place, and they really, really hurt people and British business.
Yeah, well, it would seem that way, doesn't it? Roger Giebel, thank you very much. It's just coming up to 20 minutes to 4 o'clock. GB News award-winning West